Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Richard and I'm your chief flight attendant. On behalf of Captain Ward and the entire crew, welcome aboard United Airlines Flight 1006, non-stop service from Tallahassee International to Brussels.
Good afternoon, and thank you for flying Air Brussels. As with each large European city, the population of Brussels is growing. This is due largely because of internationalization and is comprised of over 45 different nationalities. This capital city is the youngest city in the country of Belgium, averaging an age of 37.8 years. With a younger population comes higher birth rates. While Brussels is a generally wealthy country, 28% of children are born into households where parents don't have a stable income. Young families are attracted to the city because housing is affordable compared with expensive suburban living outside of the city. Education in Brussels is compulsory for children up to 18 years of age and is comprised of nursery, primary, secondary, and higher education, much like that of the United States. Belgian Airlines would like to wish you a pleasant stay in a city full of pretentious waffles, rich history, and a deep political divide between the Flemish and the Walloon population.
Everyone please, fasten your seatbelts. We're about to hit the air. Our second stop on this trip is Colombo, Sri Lanka. If you look to your left, you'll see the infamous informal settlements. The Colombo metropolitan region alone is home to 25% of the country's total population of 18.6 million. Let me repeat that, 18.6 million. That is a lot of people. Where slightly more than half of those people live in squalid, dilapidated housing, such as slums and shanties, unserviced semi-urban neighborhoods, and labor lines. The UMP City Consultation Initiative and Million Houses program are trying their best to alleviate the problems, but to no avail. The people are still dying and living in poorly built houses. Despite this, Sri Lanka has achieved universal primary and gender parity in education. For instance, primary enrollment rate is 99.4% for males and 99.9% for females. Go feminism, woman power. There's also a policy of free education and health. But the dropout rate is really high despite this because a lot of younger children and people are lacking in either clothing, food, transportation to get to these educational institutions, and it's really setting them back. Also, because of this education policy that's sort of flawed, it contributes to the 3.9% unemployment rate with approximately 15.2% of the population being poor. And you know why it's also awesome here in Colombo, Sri Lanka? There are no laws that address all unemployment. There's some partial laws that try to alleviate the distress that families are in regards to like hospital fees and essential needs, but there's still no primary policy that will help all of Colombo. Finally, you want to start a family? You may want to reconsider. If you look to your right, the fertility rate is dropping drastically. People are dying and getting sick because of the waste problems. There's a lot of low income, which makes families want to abstain from producing children, which if you don't produce children, then how's the population going to grow? Because you're going to have no kids to make more kids. Only economic improvements of community can ensure salvation. So the government really needs to step it up here. But other than that, enjoy Colombo, Sri Lanka. It's a nice view. Have a wonderful trip.
Our next stop is in Windhoek, the capital of Namibia, formerly German Southwest Africa. Windhoek is a sprawling and unique settlement among the desert of Namibia. It rests in one of the few natural hot springs and has historically been important to many different tribes before both Afrikaner settlement as well as German settlement prior to World War I. There are beautiful German-inspired architecture found throughout the city of Windhoek. But the city also harbors roughly $5 million of US dollars in illegally occupied land and informal settlements, and nearly $32 million of illegal water and electricity connections annually. And this is just in and around Scotland, one of the most occupied settlements around Windhoek. Employment around Namibia is around 70% and is slowly improving year after year, with a small decrease between the years of 2012 and 2013, where the unemployment increased to roughly 2%. The overall population does have an issue, however, with unemployed youth, where nearly 50% of the youth ages 16 to 28 is unemployed. In Namibia, education is compulsory for 10 years, beginning at age 6 and ending at age 16. There are about 1,500 public schools and 100 private in Namibia. The education is free at the primary level, with parents required to pay for uniforms, and 91% of the child population is enrolled in schools, which is very good overall in Africa. Namibia population stays relatively steady at about 1.9% growth annually, and this is likely due to their health care system, which is very strong and has great coverage over the country's settlements, and its great reputation for political stability. I hope you enjoy your trip.
Due to constant migration from rural areas in search of work and opportunity, the slums of Cartagena have become heavily populated. The geniuses decided that they'd build their informal settlements on stilts over the tidal swamps of Cartagena. Evidently, building stable slum homes was too much work. In 2011, 34% of the Colombian population lived below the poverty line. Of this 34%, 68% live in the slums of Cartagena. In 2005, Cartagena's population was a whopping 845,801 persons, with the vast majority in the urban areas. In 2011, Cartagena's total population rose to 988,000. That is, with a maternal mortality rate of 92 deaths per 100,000 live births nationally, a lifespan of 75 years, and a happiness index of 86%. In 2013, Colombia's unemployment rate hit an all-time low of 9.2%. See, not all Hispanic countries are corrupt, even if it dropped only 3.2% from the previous rate. 3.2% in 3 years. On the bright side, the educated system in Cartagena is blooming. A mandated minimal amount of 10% of the budget of the government must be spent on education. In sum, if Cartagena could speak, she'd definitely tell us to be smart, be fertile, live long, and be happy.